I was like, I started talking about Final Fantasy. I was like, it's Final Fantasy and that shit, and then I was like, it's Japanese. It's made in Japan. They have anime voices and anime faces. It's anime. It's a game. I started like going apeshit about Final Fantasy, which I know nothing about.
I need to know, what were you saying when you were going?
I was like, this is fucking bullshit. And I got up out of my chair and
he called that. Angry. That's true.
This whole rant is making it in. I don't care where I have to put it. I'll put it in the post credits if I have to. This is making it into the podcast. On to the news! But I have it in another tab. There we go.
Oh shit, me too.
So, I'm going to skip over to E3 because it is the earliest chronologically. So, we haven't had a podcast since E3. Let's just go around in a nice big, it's not a circle, triangle. There's only 3 of us. And talk about our opinions about how E3 went. Let's start with Nick, because Nick has valid opinions about everything.
It was better than last year. Last year was shit.
Last year had nothing in it.
Yeah, this year was good because new consoles and new hardware means new software and shiny games and crap like that.
How shiny would you say the games were?
They were pretty
fucking shiny. On a scale of 1 to really shiny.
Well, you see, it depends which game. I mean, the Wii U games were pretty shiny, but then the Xbox One games, the shininess blew my mind. But then there was the Wind Waker HD, which had so much bloom lighting that shined off of everything. It blew my mind. It was
Would
very
you say
shiny.
that it shined your mind?
It shined into my eye.
I think we found the name of your new show series. Shined your mind. Nope. Okay, well, I'm going to keep trying.
For indie games, shined your mind. Indie. Microsoft had a really good conference with a bunch of games. Most of them weren't exclusives, which is really good. Like, I tuned into the Microsoft one and I was like, oh my god, Metal Gear Solid 5, Microsoft, I might have to buy an Xbox One. And I was like, oh, they just played the trailer because they paid the money.
Yeah, they just had the trailer. There wasn't.
I didn't get it.
So many people thought that was an exclusive just because of the way they introduced it. Fucking Don Matrick, he's really clever with his words. If you ever watch any of his shit over the years, any of the things that he has said, he will throw in words that don't quite belong, but sound like they do. He said, now let's go on to games exclusively for the Xbox One. And what he was saying is, let's exclusively go on to games for the Xbox One.
Not exclusive games for
Not exclusive games for the Xbox One. He's
what an arsehole.
I did it in my little E3 video plug, shameless plug there. But yeah, all of his conferences, he does shit like that. He'll throw in words that don't quite belong, that mean things that it's not what you think they mean. Never is. And sometimes it won't even mean anything. He's just throwing it in there because he wants your head to be thinking it. Like the word connected in Microsoft conferences, it proliferates so much. You're just like, connected, connected, connected. And you're like, oh, when you actually learn to think about it that way, it really annoys you. It's just really fucking annoying. My other job is writing, in case anybody didn't pick up on that already. So, fucking use of words sticks in my head so much. But, Nick, please continue. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Nintendo. Oh my god, Nintendo. Sorry.
You just realized where you were going.
They've got so many good, like, I was thinking about the Wind Waker HD and I was like, yeah, alright. And I was thinking about the 3DS games they've got and I was like, holy shit, they've got some really good games. Like, The Link to the Past 2 looks, like, amazing. And then I'm looking forward to some next-gen games, but I don't really care.
Yeah. Looking forward to, don't worry.
Like,
I see where it makes sense, but it doesn't sound like it does.
I want to play some games that they showed, but, like, I don't. That I'm such an idiot. I've not even been drinking.
I don't even make this shit up. He just says it for me. I need to like put our pictures closer together in the next podcast so I can just punch you right in the face through the frame.
Like, I'm looking forward to the new games. Like, a lot of them look like really generically designed, but I still want to play them because they look nice for some reason. Like, I'm looking at all the games I've got, like my Xbox 360 games, the games that I play on PC, and I'm like, okay, yeah, this is a game, and I'm playing it, and I'm like just like looking at it, and it looks like shit, and like half of it is like it puts me off because it looks bad, and I'm like, oh, there's nothing to make up for this bad game design, which is in like most AAA games. But now I don't care if they're badly designed; they look nice. Who cares?
This has been NES. Well, not NES. Holy shit! This has been NES for years. No, this has been Nintendo for years. They're like, okay, we're gonna introduce absolutely nothing new at all. But you're gonna want to play it because it's more of that shit you love, and it's a little prettier this time. So this is, you're talking about the Nintendo syndrome.
No, I was talking about. I'm not really being coherent here. I think this is where you can tell that I'm sick. It's like my lack of like flow between thoughts and transitioning. What I meant was like, when you look at like the Xbox One and PS4 conferences, you're like, oh, these games look like exactly like what I'm playing now, but they're prettier. And they're probably not going to be any better, but you're really excited about them because they look nicer.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that the Nintendo syndrome is applying to other consoles for the moment. Of not really trying to do anything new, but God, it's that gorgeous.
Yeah, like if you watch the TGS like panels after the conferences, like one of them was like Simon and Jesse Cox, and they were both saying what I was thinking. They were just like, "Yeah, it looks really nice." Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
so
what do you think about the new Call of Duty? I don't care.
E3s.
I looked at through some videos. People, the thing is, people like will start bashing the Xbox One with like, you know, they had you had to connect all the time, and you had to. My voice is gonna crack so much right now because it's stupid. Lost my voice yesterday, but yeah, they talk about like the Xbox One and how it's like $100 more than PS4, and but the whole concept of having that all surround, kind of like the all-in-one thing, and now that they've made it so you don't have to connect 24 hours for the internet to or even go on at least once a day to update or whatever they do for it, I think that would work perfectly for me in my situation because I have so many wires and so many different things that I'd just be like, if I could just make it universal, like a just giant box of awesome, then I think that's the reason I'm probably going to pick up an Xbox One. But
we should talk about the good things about Xbox One. I mean, really, there was some cool shit. All of the they have 3 operating systems in the Xbox One.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, massive waste of resources and money. However, what it allows you to do is run a lot of things at the same time and go back and forth. I just did the Kinect motion, didn't I? Anyway, go back and forth between the things without any delay. There's no lag. It's already running when you go over. So there's some really cool shit going on there with that operating system, and they've gotten rid of a lot of the bad things. Not all of them, but a lot of them. So yeah, there's some good things about Xbox One, and people are hating, and they shouldn't hate quite so hard as they do.
See, I think Xbox One has gone on a different. They tried something different, right? Like PS4 is fully games, new, make it better. Try to see comments on different things to make it better from the last games that they made. But Xbox One tried something totally different. Yeah, they got a lot of hate on it, but then they tried it, right? Like you're not going to progress your company unless you're actually going to go on and try something different, right? So, I mean, like the whole concept of this, a lot of it was just like, you know, yeah, I can talk to my Xbox and it would turn on. Hooray, fantastic! Like that's a good thing, right? But it's like, I don't know. I like that they're a big enough company to step back and be like, you know, we listen to our gamers. We listen to the fact that they don't want to be connected to the internet 24/7, and they took that step to actually improve on it, which I think they probably got a lot more sales from making that. You know, like we're a big enough company, but we did something wrong, and we're going to listen to the people who are actually going to buy our product. So I thought that was really cool. That was a lot of respect that I went towards Microsoft for that.
It was impressive. I think that to some degree, I'm gonna take the let me just take the position of the YouTube commenters for a moment.
Okay.
If you are being hung, presently, you got a rope around your neck, and there are people around you chanting, "No DRM, no online 24/7." Do you really think there's any chance that you're not going to say, "Oh no, I'm not going to do that anymore. Just please take me down from this rope with the noose and everything"? I think that was perfect.
That was actually not that bad.
Perfect
like, you've
analogy
had way worse
for the situation.
Like, thing with Microsoft is that, like, I think most of it was just like business because they're gonna lose a shitload of money and nobody will buy their shit. More so than them being nice because it's Microsoft.
They lost, like, they drew. I don't want to say droop. I want to say nosedived their stock prices after E3.
Yeah, but it is like there is good things about the Xbox One, which Noddy was saying very fluently and coherently in a better way than I could do. So I'm proud of him.
We
for that.
both applaud
Thank
you. You should do news videos.
Yeah.
You seem to have a really good handle on taking the alternative point of view and making it rational.
Oh, this wait. Yesterday, my voice is cracking. Like I said, puberty has hit finally. 15 years late. It's brutal. Yeah, it's the thing. Like, a lot of people will only see what Microsoft will give them, and as you know, a lot of people don't have their own opinions, so they will read into what the news is showing them and what all these other comments, YouTube comments, as you brought up, as a statement to influence their opinions and what Microsoft is. When I look at it, I'm just like, Microsoft did this, then they corrected with that, so that's fine with me. And then for myself, as a person who's gonna buy one, it's gonna work for their system in where I am in my life. I was like, that's gonna be fantastic for me. And for example, like games wise, I mean, I just bought Call of Duty Black Ops 2, and it was months after. I was like, I'll play it if I want to, but it was just like one of those things that just, I need the system that's going to be all-in-one, that's going to connect everything, that's going to make everything so fluent and nice. Because, I mean, we're living in a place where IT and all computer stuff is building and stuff, so you need to be able to keep up with all that stuff and have it all, like, really smooth, I mean, if you want.
I can offer an interesting counterpoint to that.
Yeah.
Most people who are in the gaming demographic, the super power user, computer users, they don't turn on their TV at all.
True.
So what is the purpose for a gamer like me that doesn't go to the TV in a system that is more expensive and then has all of these features to universalize a technology that they no longer use?
Right.
It's not aimed at you. Like, I don't want an Xbox One. Like, of the two, the PS4 is so much more appealing to me, but I can see why somebody would want an Xbox One. Like, I actually think it's kind of good that we've got, like, 3 coming up on the market. We've got the Wii U, the PS4, and not the 360, the Xbox One.
Right,
that are all completely different. They're all completely different audiences.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of good, because, like, at the moment, it's like, get a PS4 or get a 360, and it's like PS4, PS3, or get a 360, and it's like it's the same thing. And it's kind of refreshing because like you actually have like a reason to get the other console. Like for me, I don't care about TV, and I just want to play games, so I'll get a PS4. But if you're somebody who needs like a multimedia thing, then the One is just good.
Most of the games are going to be multi-platform.
Yeah.
And the games that sort of like historically, Sony has attracted more RPG exclusives, and Xbox has attracted more first-person shooter exclusives. Which is weird. I mean, it's totally bizarre because it's not... Neither system has really taken off in Japan. So you'd think that the RPGs would...
I thought PlayStation was like pretty big in Japan.
PlayStation is bigger in Japan, but PlayStation 2 is way larger in Japan than PlayStation 3 is. Even still. To this day.
Isn't
PlayStation
it
2
still
sells more systems
everywhere.
in Japan.
Oh, I thought they finished. I thought they stopped the production run of PlayStation 2 last year or this year.
Yeah, in the US. And
Really? Only in the
everywhere else
US?
that matters. I have no idea if if they're still selling PlayStation 2s in Japan. But I do know that PlayStation 2 has way more households where it is in than PlayStation 3 does. Like, there are more households that own a PlayStation 2 in Japan than there are households that own a PlayStation 3.
I feel like that's most places in the world. I mean, I don't have a PlayStation 3, but I've got this fucking thing. Hold on. Let me unplug it. Oh, this is
I
professional.
still got a PlayStation 2 as well.
Oh.
I have a PlayStation 2.
I've never owned a thing of PlayStation.
That thing.
Oh, you got that Slim?
Yeah.
Oh boy,
It
I still
opens
got
like
that
that.
PS2 Fat. With a modem in it.
It's got a modem.
Yeah, I have a modem in my PS2.
Oh, do you want to see my modem? Watch me just, like, unplug myself from the internet because I'm an idiot.
It's really weird.
Oh,
Essentially,
there we
I
go.
originally wanted my PlayStation 2 to play Final Fantasy 11.
You could probably move your camera.
This is
this would be so logical. Holy shit!
I'm not even going to go into this discussion about how OG I am because what's going on right now is much better. You pick up the camera, you point it a few degrees over.
There's a box, and I just went outside it just a
I'm gonna,
little.
like, look at this one day, like, in a few weeks when, like, I'm not sick anymore, and I'll be like, well done.
Well
That
done,
was a
me.
good
Good
thing
job.
you did.
This is now on the internet.
You want to see what my, like, computer looks like right now because I've dropped my modem on it. Right, this is gonna be an experience, right?
We're going on an adventure.
Hold on. Let me look what I'm seeing. Okay, this is what I'm seeing.
The computer's sort of pretty.
Your
Got a modem on it. That goes behind the TV. There we go.
Get back there, modem. Anyway,
I'm sorry for that. I derailed your podcast horribly for no reason. I just wanted to show you. People.
I've got one. I've got a modem in my PlayStation 2
Why does it have a modem in it?
because it was a required attachment to be playing fucking
Oh yeah, that thing I had online.
Final Fantasy 11. Cheers, mate. I just said the word mate for no reason. I'm from America. That's not
You
a
know
thing.
what? I've never said that before. There's cheers, mate. I don't know. Maybe it's just a Canadian thing. We call people brother a lot of the time. That's just
Like
I don't know.
like fucking Hulk Hogan.
I don't know. Like if people are like, for example, if a homeless person comes up to you and be like, "Hey, do you have any change?" Be like, "Nah, sorry, brother." The end.
Do you ever say, "Hey, brother"?
No.
Or if it's in Canada.
Well, that's lame. If you had done it like Hulk Hogan, then it would have been cool. But no.
What part of Canada are you from?
BC, British Columbia.
Cool.
So west.
I
Like
don't know anything
the
about Canada. Don't
lamest,
even know
most
where they are.
syrupy part of Canada, obviously.
So if
Maple.
you know where Washington is,
Kind of imagine
I
where it
guess.
is. I know about Canada. I just don't know anything about British Columbia.
Okay. Apparently, if you smoke weed, that's the best place to go. But I don't, so it doesn't matter.
No,
um,
Colorado is the best place to go if you smoke weed, obviously.
hmm.
Current events!
We need to cut all of this out. None of this had anything to do with E3.
This is
Like, I don't
totally
know how long
relevant.
that whole thing took of me pulling out my modem, but that was a really long time of just me being a fucking idiot, and it's continuing now.
It's staying.
This is meant to be 80 proof gaming. We're talking about weed.
This is 80 proof you fucking up everything.
Why are we
80
talking about
You know what?
British
I'm
Columbia?
renaming the
This is
podcast.
bullshit.
80 proof Nick fucks things up. That's a new name. As a matter of fact, your indie show should be Nick fucks up indie.
That's a good name.
Brilliant! I've done it!
I
Oh
fucked up
gosh.
indie.
Okay. Closing statements on E3. I thought that it was the
Said
best
nothing
E3,
about E3.
in history. I didn't actually get to talk about my opinions on E3. That's some bullshit.
Just cut out all that shit. Start it here. Say
No.
things about E3.
No. But totally.
I'm so sorry.
Okay,
I
so
ruined your first video podcast.
Microsoft comes on, right? Microsoft wasn't first though. Who was first?
No, it's Microsoft.
Microsoft was literally the first big expo? Okay. Microsoft was literally the first big expo. They come on. They had last word in the last big series of expos. And then they come on first this time. And they're like, no, seriously, guys. We're going to talk about games this time. I know we fucked up last time. We're going to talk about games. For real. No, for real. We're going to talk about games. And they showed a few games. Unfortunately, all those games suck balls. And,
What the fuck?
but no, they they came on with Metal Gear Solid, which is a really strong point to start.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's not an exclusive. Even though they made it sound like an exclusive, they were talking to an audience who was smart. And we figured out it wasn't an exclusive pretty immediately. And they must have gotten so much money to that be the only system that they announced for.
Yeah.
But so they covered that. They covered some other shit. It wasn't. There were just so few exclusives, and they didn't give it enough emphasis. Really, they were just like, "Here we are pandering to you," and sometimes it was so disconnected that you didn't even understand what was going on between section to section. Like they're like, "Okay, here's our indie game section. We're gonna introduce a video about Minecraft." The video about Minecraft ends, right? And you expect them to come out and talk about something else so that they can transition into the next thing. But no, they just do another video right from the end of Minecraft. That's just another thing. That's nothing indie related whatsoever.
Yeah. That was
And
annoying.
the whole thing was so disjointed and rushed that it just felt incoherent most of the time.
Like
then-
me on this podcast.
What's that?
Like me on this podcast.
Like you and me and the entire podcast all together. That's like the
Noddy's
theme
been
of
on
the
topic.
podcast.
We're terrible. Noddy's been good. We've just been absolutely retarded this whole time.
We should call
He's
it
never been on a
80
podcast.
proof
You've never been on
nonsense.
this podcast. You've never been on this
Yeah.
podcast before, and
This
you've been
is actually
doing
my
like.
first podcast ever in my life.
And
How does
he's
that
like,
make you guys feel?
you're so
Pleasure
much
to have you.
professional. Our first video podcast is fine. This is why we are. how we
You're
are.
a natural, son.
Why am I getting
Excellent.
messages?
Then there are a few other expos after Microsoft. We had E3 and Ubisoft, which we should probably mention at least briefly. E3 had Peggle 2. So let's move on. And no, but E3 had they talked about Mirror's Edge 2. How could we possibly talk about E3 without mentioning Mirror's Edge 2 being a thing? Did neither of you play that?
Nope.
Okay. Fuck you guys.
I played Mirror's Edge.
Oh, good job.
Didn't like it.
Fuck
I
you,
remember this.
Naughty.
I remember this being like a thing on like the first ever episode of your podcast. Was like, oh yeah, I played Mirror's Edge. I didn't really like it, and everyone else on the podcast was like, what's wrong with you?
We did get a little wide-eyed, didn't we? I forgot about that.
Everyone got really angry. I was like, I just didn't get
Mirror's
it.
Edge is on the running for my favorite game of all time. This is a thing. I mean, I guess
right.
it's partially my love of parkour, but mostly that was just really solid game design. Like, they just
Might have to play it again.
they stuck to one mechanic, expanded on it as far as it could go, and pumped money into it. And as far as I'm concerned, not doing like the first-person shooter standard of pumping as many mechanics into it as possible and giving it no emphasis whatsoever. That's respectable to me.
Yeah.
And the game turned into something that I really enjoyed playing. Nick, maybe you're just not into the whole... Oh, this is relevant to conversation. How did you do on your speedrun competition match?
Really badly.
Yep, that's what I thought.
Like,
Oh wow.
you can't imagine how badly I did.
I figured that maybe you're just not into the whole speedrunning of things, and that's like maybe
I like speedrunning.
60% of Mirror's Edge is just being into doing things as quickly as possible.
I'll actually play Mirror's Edge again because, like, when it came out, I don't know how old I was, but I didn't understand what I was doing. So I might have to play it again.
Are really complicated. If you get it on PC, you might want to try it on both keyboard and on a controller, because people prefer it on different things, and it's a completely different experience. So if you do, definitely get your 360 controller out and plug that shit in and fuck around with it.
Yeah.
So Mirror's Edge 2 was a thing. They didn't need to do that. It didn't sell very well, the original Mirror's Edge, so doing a Mirror's Edge 2 was a huge risk for them. A lot of respect to EA for trying it. Even though that's not a very popular opinion, having respect for EA, not a real popular opinion, and I don't actually have respect for EA. I have respect for the decision they made to try this. And there was also some other shit that probably isn't worth mentioning. Plants vs. Zombies in a first-person shooter is one of them. Weird.
I heard about that.
Just weird.
That was a really weird trailer.
Yeah.
It was funny, but I was like, what? Like, what?
And Ubisoft came out, and they killed it pretty well. The crew went over really well as far as press is concerned. Pretty much everything they tried. Tom Clancy's The Division, I'd really like to play that if it comes to PC. If it doesn't come to PC, they can just go and fuck themselves.
You guys
was that the one? Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
There you go.
I was going to ask, you guys are exclusively PC gamers, right? Like, you do all your recording and everything and whatnot on PC.
Right now, I'm exclusively PC. I've got a 360, but I left it in Colorado. I gave it to a friend when I moved.
You would.
I wasn't playing anything on it anyway, so I figured whatever. If there's something that's good enough that comes out on another system, then I'll get another system. But at the moment, I've got plenty enough material on the PC to last me forever.
Very, very, very true.
I play on everything, but PC's like the best at the moment, so I use that. But I don't have any like preference. I just go for whatever is best at the time.
Nobody wants to be branded as specifically a PC gamer, but
True.
pretty much all the stuff that's worthwhile right now is on PC, so
That's very true.
doesn't make much of a difference.
I play a lot of old games. Like I have a PS2, and I have a GameCube,
This is fair.
and I have a 360. That's not a 360. That's a GameCube.
Yeah, that's
And I have a
definitely
360 pulls out a GameCube.
yes,
this
different,
is
different
the same.
shape.
Look, I have a 360. There it is.
So many good games came out on the GameCube. The Fire Emblem game that came out of the GameCube, Path to Radiance or Path of
I
Radiance.
did not know there was a Fire Emblem game on the GameCube. I'm gonna have to go on Amazon right. I don't have any money.
It was so good. It was so good. It's literally my favorite game on the GameCube, even though I love a lot of games on the GameCube.
When I have money, yeah, I'm gonna buy that.
You'll give it all to me. No?
No.
Okay.
No,
Well,
I'll
it was
buy Fire
worth a
Emblem
shot.
GameCube.
I mean, if you gave it all to me, I would just, like buy you a copy of Fire Emblem, Path of Radiance, and Tales of Symphonia. Really good.
It's not on PC.
No,
Does it get ported to PC?
no. It's
Why?
only on GameCube, buddy. That's the only place you can get it.
Hold on.
There was a Tales of Symphonia 2, and I'm pretty sure that's only on GameCube as well. I'm now pointing at you with my gun finger.
Right. I didn't know that people still played GameCube games.
You wouldn't, mister. No, GameCube is the best. GameCube is the best, says.
I own a GameCube. That's this last of the Nintendo series that I bought.
Have you played
Me
Tales of
too.
Symphonia or the Fire Emblem game?
Nope.
The two best games on GameCube you have not played. Tisk tisk.
Very
The
true.
third best.
I haven't played either of them either.
What?
I haven't played either of those either.
Dear God.
You're the only one.
Okay, we
See,
need
now-
like 3-way review of these two games or something. Well, that's 4. I can't do 3 with 2. This way? Yeah, there we go. Okay, got it. It was perfect. So then, I was talking about E3, and I only got as far as Ubisoft and how they killed it. They did good. Everybody was sort of excited about their games. Later on, when they've sort of got their hands on those games, most people are less excited about them.
Very true.
just in general. The Division still seems good. The Crew seems like not good, according to people who have played it.
Is the Division the one where it's like, oh, a dollar bill has germs on it? Is that one?
Yeah, that was that one.
I have no idea what that game's about. I just saw that trailer and I was like, I'm never touching money again, and I just left.
Well, you don't have to touch money. You can be broke the rest of your life. No,
I didn't understand what game that was meant to be. I was like, okay, that's interesting.
The gameplay looks pretty good.
What type of game is it?
It is a first-person shooter RPG, basically.
Oh.
No, third-person shooter? I can't remember which person. Maybe all the persons are in this.
Fourth-person shooter.
900th person shooter. You're
Sixth
one of the
person.
people in the crowd, but you don't
In
know
a
which one you
second-person
are.
shooter, would you play as God?
Who's
No.
pregnant?
Just no. If you played as God, you just
What would a
reprogrammed the
second-person
game.
shooter be? Because a second person is like God view.
It's probably like Duke Nukem platformer.
It's bigger. It's that many people, but you don't know which person's perspective you are. You have a perspective, but you don't know which person's perspective.
Oh,
one of
you're
these
playing
people-
StarCraft, but it's a first-person shooter and you're controlling one guy, but you don't know which one, and you're in like an army that you're not controlling, but yet you're controlling one of the guys, and you're just clicking and you're shooting your own teammates, but you don't realize because you don't. This is the best game ever.
And
Peter
all the
Molyneux.
people that you're
This is what we're
controlling
doing right
has
now.
a backstory.
Yeah.
The bullet has a
Get on,
backstory.
Peter Molyneux.
Yeah.
Anyway, you owe us. You shitty games that you've made.
So-
You need to make that.
It's like a sort of third-person view, and you have sort of RPG skills, and the world is semi-persistent, and there are other groups of players that are also the same semi-persistent, and they can come into your world and like challenge you for territory and shit. But it seems like not all of the territory is actually persistent. I don't know any more than you do on that statement. I've heard that statement from people, and who knows what that means.
I don't.
It seems like your own area, like you have an area that's designated to you, and that area is persistent. But you have some limited access to other areas, but those areas aren't persistent for you. They might be persistent for the players to
Don't
which that area
understand what
is
this
assigned.
game is still. It just sounds so confusing.
Yeah.
Is it like PlanetSide?
I mean, I really want to play it. Here's the real
like
drama with this shit. It doesn't look like PlanetSide, no. The drama with this game is that it's confusing. We don't have enough information about it. The gameplay that the show doesn't match up with sort of the knowledge that we've gained since. I kind of wonder. They showed really selective shit. I kind of wonder if that shit was selected to make us think that it was a fully persistent world, when in actuality, it's absolutely not.
Oh yeah, it's one of those like, oh, this could be really good. Like, they're not spoiling anything, because it could be that amazing that when you play it, it'll blow your mind, or it might be just so bad, like Aliens: Colonial Marines. Like
Probably
they're showing
exactly
you like
what it
they're
is.
being really
Oh.
selective with their footage, but then it might be a good thing, but you just don't know.
Except the Gearbox had nothing to do with it, so it's probably not Aliens Colonial Marines.
Maybe they don't know what it is. Maybe it's just like they're just
They're
like,
like,
yeah, man,
I don't-
germs
they-
get really
they're just
fast.
like a
Let's make
compilation of
third-person
code.
shooter. You shoot people in the face, but them germs, they're spreading really fast. Shoot that guy. Is it? Is it like that?
They had this little this tiny smidgen of code, and they were like, just fucking make it into a game. You've got a month. And so
Like,
they made this
That's
one
a
trailer.
That's a really big thing, though, isn't it? Shooting people in the face in games nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
It's
That's
pretty
kind
much
of
all
like
games,
Bioshock
yes.
Infinite. That's why
Face and
that's
nuts.
the thing that like I haven't played Bioshock Infinite yet, but I can't imagine myself enjoying it very much. It's like, oh, you need to like go to Colombia and you need to explore this beautiful town. You need to shoot people in the face, and there's this really great AI character called Elizabeth. And you shoot people in the face. I'm like, no,
Yeah, but you get to execute people as well.
Dude, you press E.
Okay, that is my number one complaint about Bioshock Infinite. The
It's the same
execute thing.
execute. It's the execute same thing. It's the same thing.
The execute, it's a little symbol that pops up, right, to execute people with your melees, and
Yeah.
it's really cool looking when you do execute people. But you only ever get it when they're about a melee away from dying anyway. So a normal melee pretty much all the time works.
Yeah.
It's such
depends
a
what clothes you have
smidgen
on.
difference.
Because there's a percentage with the clothes, the outfits you have on is the percentage of things you could put set them on fire, right? So, and
I
that's
should
all
not have to
additional
put on
damage.
special equipment just to make a mechanic you put into the game work as intended.
I don't know. It's a
I'm so
claw
sorry
that has a
now.
grappling hook.
I'm so sorry that we're now talking about Bioshock, even though this was meant to be E3.
So anyways,
I'm so sorry.
I got all the way through the fucking convention, but last was PlayStation came on. Sony came on, and they fucking murdered all things. They were like, they came on and they did a pretty normal ass thing. They talked about Vita for a second. It was really short. It was very wise of them. They were like, here's a list of shit we got coming out for Vita. Moving on. As if they knew. Nobody wanted to hear about Vita at that point. I wanted to hear about
So,
Vita, but I'm
one
in the
guy in the
tiniest
crowd.
minority.
Yeah.
I love my Vita. Here it is. Here's my Vita. I just fucking love it. It's the bestest entertainment device I ever did buy.
It is the breast.
Please send me free things for my Vita. Anyways.
I want a Vita. I was playing 3DS the other day. It was amazing.
They moved on, and they went to sort of their little entertainment shit, and they're like, you know how we are Sony, and how we have entertainment contacts in all the entertainment industries? We're going to do better than Microsoft at that. Just saying, we got more shit on lock already. And they moved on. They did a really brief... They said it, and they moved on. And then they went on to games, and they were like, yeah, we got these games coming up, you know, these exclusives. They're pretty cool. And then they were like, so, trading, this is sort of a big deal. We don't really care if you trade your games. And the first time they said it almost hesitantly. He seemed a little awkward about saying it at first, the first time. And his face was kind of like straight line lips, just... And then, there was almost like a standing ovation. And the second time he said it, he was smiling when he said it. And the third time he said it, because he said it so many fucking times, he was just like grinning ear to ear. He was like, oh, you guys, you like us.
For anyone who hasn't seen, there's also a video on the PlayStation channel of just like a guy who's like, well, how do you land a game on the PS4? You take your game and you give it to your friend. Yeah, and it's the end. It's just the end of the video. It's like
It was
PS4,
literally
and
like,
you're
20 seconds long. It was so awesome. And I can't find that video now. I've done looking and tried to find that video, and I can't find it. It's not on their website. If you fucking YouTube search it, you can find it. But you can't find it just going to Sony's website anymore, for whatever reason.
Probably because it's
But yeah,
irrelevant
it's
now.
how to trade your game. And it's a Japanese guy, an American guy,
Oh, right, yeah.
and it says, this is how you trade your game on the PS4. And he hands it over, and the American guy says, thanks! And takes it. In the most generic American voice possible. Just, thank you! I like this!
It's a
And
22
that's it.
second video.
PS4 symbol comes on the screen. Same fucking Sony symbol that you see in everything. So there's that. That's E3. We've talked enough, I suppose, unless anybody else has any closing opinions on the E3 press conference.
I do have one. The fact that, you know how Sony and Microsoft have they're not really butting heads. It's the fans that support them butt heads, right? For the fact is, you'd be like, I could be like, oh, I think I'm gonna get an Xbox One, but I'm not gonna bash the PS4. But there's other people who'll be like, I'm gonna get the PS4 because Xbox sucks, blah 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 blah. It's like people need to consider, like there's gonna be certain things that's gonna fit their situation the most. Like obviously, like Nick likes to play games, so he's gonna get the PS4, so he's gonna. Because he's more situated. They went more around it, and then I'm gonna probably get the Xbox One. I actually might even get both of them, but the Xbox One is because it's more of a round system for that's gonna fit me perfectly. But I think a lot of people are from these conferences are picking out all these negative things. I don't know. Maybe they're just so bored with life that they need to just rag on the stupid things that like these big companies do. But I think a lot of people with if you pick one. Like that one, but don't bash on the other one because it's totally irrelevant. Like, there's so much drama that you're bringing onto the interwebs that's going to be like, I'm going to come to your house and just make a list and beat the shit out of you. So, the end.
It's a long list.
Yeah, big list.
I don't understand fanboyism for consoles.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. You figure out which console offers the most to you as a person. You buy that one. Most of us who are in the gaming industry are going to buy both. It's only a matter of timing.
Yep.
I'll buy this one, then I'll buy this one. For me, I'm probably going to buy the PS4. God, that thing is gorgeous. We didn't mention that. It's a pretty fucking piece of hardware. Very pretty.
I don't remember what it was like.
I'm going to buy both. I'm going to start with PS4. Because the PS4 offers a focused gaming experience. The Xbox One offers some really fucking crazy TV experiences. Like, the ability to be playing a game, go, whoop, check out the game's fucking FAQ page, whoop, go back, is really cool to me. I want that. I do want that. When I was watching the Microsoft's conferences, both of them, I really was interested in the ability to be able to swap back and forth from the internet. That's fucking cool to anyone. Anyways, the point is, there's no reason to hate people who have different perspectives from you. This is a lesson that you can learn in life from anything. And if you haven't learned that by now, please get the fuck off my internets. I don't want you on my internets.
I want you on my internet. You can come to my channel, youtube.com/bloop show, and I will have you on my internet all day long.
Go over to his fucking internets. I don't want you. Total Biscuits to his Jesse Cox.
Please don't come to mine. Don't come to mine.
Naughty is now Dodger. Sorry, Naughty. I don't know if you're sad about that or not, but you're now Dodger.
I have heard that name before from your podcasts.
Go check out her channel at www.youtube.
She has enough money. You don't need to check out her. If you're watching this, you're probably already watching her.
/ press heart to continue.
No.
And Dodger, please
Actually,
go ahead.
I don't even know why I'm saying
back.
no.
I'm sure you're going to get a huge boon in subscriber count from us. Just go ahead and mention us at some point. Send that love back. That'd be great.
People are now going to think I hate Dodger, and I totally don't.
No, Nick is Dodger's #1 fan.
But you were saying so many rude things before we started recording.
He was like, why is Dodger so
I'm
ugly?
actually press fart to continue.
You are actually press fart to continue. I was going to say that, but I thought that would be a little too harsh of a thing to say. Because that guy is that big of a douche. In case you don't know, there's
What's wrong with press fart to continue? What's he done?
And his name is that.
What's he done?
So, moving on.
What's he done?
He's made a bunch of comments. That's really all he's done.
About what?
I'm fucking...
He's made videos. They're really good. They're all about Dodger.
Ignoring this situation and moving on to Greenlight. You know that paranautical activity situation?
Yeah, that's dumb.
Everyone has heard of this?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to explain it anyway. I was hoping no one would have heard of it so I could explain it. So, in case you are not up to date on the Greenlight system, Greenlight is a program where indie games can apply to go through a system of popularity votes. Basically, you go to the Greenlight system of Steam, and it'll show you all the things that have applied to Greenlight. And you can give it a thumbs out, thumbs up, as if you might buy it, and a thumbs down where you don't think you would buy it. And based on that system, we don't really understand the system, but essentially we hope the things with the most thumbs up are gonna get released on Steam, and the things with the most not thumbs up are not gonna get released on Steam. That's the way we hope it works, because they don't give us their algorithms that decide these things. But Paranautical Activity is a game that is fantastic, and we've all sort of seen it on Total Biscuit's channel or wherever on YouTube. Has not been approved on Steam through the Greenlight yet, and they have a publisher. They got published through Adult Swim Games that publishes all sorts of things. But for some reason, Steam decided to say, no, you can't get published on Steam just because you have a publisher. We don't want people to look at getting a publisher as a way to circumvent the Steam Greenlight process. So now they have to try and get enough upvotes on Steam, even though they haven't been putting the energy into Steam, into the Greenlight process that other people would have, because anybody else that's got a publisher can just fucking skip it. So why can't we? There have been plenty of examples before and after the Paranautical Activity incident of people getting a publisher, even through the same publisher, being Adult Swim, getting through Steam without having to go through the Greenlight. So basically the question is, what's the difference here? Are they just trying to make an example of Paranautical Activity so that other indie games don't go to publishers? And is that necessarily a bad thing or a good thing? Discuss? Question mark?
I think, well, indie games themselves it's a way for developers to put something out there for free, right? Like, and some of them have blown up. Like, I know, like, one of my first videos was like Limbo. Limbo is a crazy game with a weird something with but there's crazy ambiance and stuff in the background, and like the whole, like, you can see things moving in the background. But the indie developers, I support any indie developer. If I see something that's like, oh, I need a startup, whatever, I'm just like, I like indie developers just because of the fact that they have so many different outside of the box. They don't need support from big companies, and they do it all themselves. And they're, but the fact is that I don't even remember what you asked, but I was just going off on a tangent to how indie develops.
I like the fact. It's fine.
Yeah, I like indie developers the fact that they can create a game that's outside of the box that makes people look at a game in a different way than actually entertainment, because that's what you're doing. You create something for someone else that entertains them, right? And they do hit a different genre of people that is very entertaining, and sometimes it's just like, oh, I've never heard of that game, but when you play, you're just like, I'm never going to forget that game. Like, yeah, I could play like a big game, like you could play Super Mario, like everyone's played Super Mario, and it's a huge game, and everyone's always going to remember it, but then you can play that one game from an indie developer, and it's so good, and it's the way that it has a whole different genre, a whole different kind of aspect of people that they're trying to reach, and when they reach those people, it's like, I'm never going to forget that game. So indie developers, I would support 100% for sure.
But what's the difference between an indie developer and not an indie developer? I mean, like, a major publisher could spend a little less money and make a game that's like an indie developed game and try to get something on Steam.
Well,
where's the dividing line?
The thing that's done with this is that to get onto Steam, normally you get a publisher. The difference between an indie game and a non-indie game is that, like, a publisher, right? So there's developer. You can, like, explain to people who don't understand how games work. There's a developer, which is like the musician. Let's say if you've got like a record label and a musician, you've got the developer, which is the person who creates it, and then you've got the publisher who pays for it, right? Indie games don't have the publisher, so they're using their own money, and like a person or a little team has way less money than like a giant corporation like EA or Ubisoft, right? And what Steam Greenlight is meant to be is indie games don't have enough money to be able to put into advertising and shit to like get onto Steam, and they don't have like Steam isn't going to accept every single game on there, and they need to have like a thing that says, okay, this game is good enough for a big company to put money into it, right? And if you don't have that, then it's like, do people want to buy this? So then you sum it up or whatever. What happened here was they were like, okay, we don't have anyone supporting us, and they got onto Steam Greenlight, and they started getting a few thumbs up, and then a publisher saw them, and they were like, oh, this is a good game, we want to back this and get it on Steam. So Adult Swim has done this like a few times with other games. Nathan, what games was it? Whatever. Adult Swim made games, and they put them on Steam in exactly the same way that they did with Paranormal Activity. But then what happened with Paranormal Activity was they decided, hold on, you're getting upvoted, but then you decided that instead of going through our system, you're going to get a publisher, which has been done before, but then they just like, hold on, this isn't right because you guys are like going through our system, you can't do that, and then decide you're going to get a developer, you're just selling out. So they decided not to let them go on Steam, and they've got to use the same thing anyway, even though the Greenlight system, even though they've got a publisher and they've given their rights to their game to a publisher and split their money that they're going to get from Steam with a publisher, which has already got games on Steam. But it's just really stupid because they're saying we don't want indie developers to go to publishers instead of going through Greenlight. But they've... It's just dumb, because...
They needed to be more consistent. They needed to
I know. I'm losing my focus so badly.
The point is that they can't just pick one game and say, you can't do that. They need to pick every game that tries to do that and say, no, you can't do that. Instead, they have picked the one game to make it as an example to try and make it so that other games wouldn't. And then the other games that try, they just don't give a fuck. They already made their example.
Yeah, Adult Swim had other games on Steam that they did the same thing with. They were like, they went on the Greenlight section. They were like, oh, like House of Dead Ninjas. That's what it was, House of Dead Ninjas. They were like, oh, House of Dead Ninjas. They looked on the Steam Greenlight and they were like, oh, this looks like an interesting game. Maybe we can like get a deal with this developer and we can put it on Steam easily. So like both people win, right? You've got your game on Steam, and then you're like splitting your money with somebody else, but you're both making way more money than you would otherwise. They tried to do the same thing with Paranormal Activity. It's the same publisher and everything, and then Steam decided, hold on, it's not alright this time. And it's so inconsistent because they're just making up rules as they go along, and it's just not good. Total Biscuit has covered
Straight
this
up
in
not good.
really big detail, and I'm not doing that.
It's not
But
good, man.
it's just, either you have a rule or you don't have a rule, and Steam is just deciding whether it has a rule or not at random times. And like Gabe Newell has said that Greenlight isn't a good way of doing it, but then they've still got it on there. And like things, apparently games that are on like the top 5 to be greenlit, like, are not getting through, and other games that Steam decides gets through, and it's just a big mess. Like, Steam in general is just a mess, I feel.
They're not clear about what it is that means that you do make it through. They're just arbitrarily, it seems, they pick games from the list and they're like, we like this one better. It seems like the voting system matters very little in the end result. And
the thing that annoys me is they're saying that indie devs shouldn't go to a publisher to assume they'll automatically get onto Steam. But then what's the difference between an indie dev doing it and a regular dev doing it? It's things like that. It's like an indie dev becomes a normal dev once they've got money. Why are you not letting people do what they want? Why are you blocking people's freedom? Like, being an indie game, you're still an indie game if you made the game with your own budget and you're just trying to get onto Steam because you want to sell your game.
And Steam has every right to just say, we're not going to sell whatever we don't want to sell. But that's not what they're saying. They made this whole system so that it would be more fair. If you're going to make a system designed to make it so that good games make it on your fucking sales site, then I would expect it to be somewhat transparent. To some degree. I don't buy games off Amazon. I only buy games off of Steam, so what the fuck ever that means. And if there's a special game that I want that's not on Steam, fine, whatever. But Steam is a service that has such an enormous market share that if you succeed on Steam, you make a great deal more money than if you don't. If you're on Steam, you will make a huge amount more money than if you're not on Steam.
It's basically like a TV show being on a national channel or not. It's like, okay, so I don't know what national channels are in America, but like, let's say
NBC or some shit.
Yeah, let's say in England you can get onto like Sci-Fi 2, or you get onto BBC One. It's going to be like a really big difference in your viewership figures. It's the same thing with Steam. It's like, if you get onto Steam, you're going to get a load of sales. It doesn't matter if your game's good or not. People are going to see that your game exists because it's come up on the Steam thing. If it's not on Steam, how the hell do you know about the game? And they're basically deciding whether a game fails or succeeds or not. And that's fine. But they're not deciding it in a way that makes any sense, and they've made their own rules, but then they've went against their own rules, and they've gone against the rules that they've broken with their It's just so dumb and so convoluted.
Sometimes you get so goddamn powerful, so huge, that when you're looking down at your hands, you can't see your feet.
That is such an American saying.
Yeah.
Like, I've never heard it before, but it sounds like a
fuck
really
both of your
Southern
countries.
thing. It's like,
Goddamn,
sometimes when you just get so big, you look
United
down at your hands and you
Kingdoms.
can't see your feet. It's honestly terrible. Sometimes you get so fat, you just can't see your penis.
Oh, don't you worry. I'll always be able to see my penis. Through the clothes
Noted.
and everything.
Later in my diary.
So, I have a news story tailored specifically for Mr. Nick and his Blue Show. CD Projekt Red
Yeah.
released a combat mod for Witcher 2. The only reason I've included this is Nick's love for CD Projekt Red and the Witcher series. So I assume that you have some measure of understanding of the story that has progressed.
Yeah. I haven't got the combat mod yet. I don't understand how I downloaded it, so I was just like sitting on my computer and I was like, oh, Witcher 2 combat mod, and I downloaded it. I was like, now what do I do?
Steam probably did it for you anyway.
Yeah. It was not made by CD Projekt. It's made by a guy who he's part of the team now, or he was like a community modder, and now they've recruited him onto the team. I think he's called Flash or something.
Yeah, that's how it works.
And he was like, they made the game already. I think it was just community mod, but then he's become part of the team, and it's what happened is they're promoting it, which is what's the unusual thing. Like most games get modded to all hell, but then the developers just ignore it. Whereas with CD Projekt, they're looking at work that somebody outside of their company has done, and they're like, oh, this guy who isn't part of our company has done something, and he's made the game better than we made it. We should promote this. And everyone's like, yeah, CD Projekt, because they're promoting
Because they're
good
fucking
things.
cool.
Yeah, CD Projekt is a great company. If you don't know why CD Projekt is good, go watch the first episode, probably, of this podcast.
I
And
fucking
talk about
emailed them.
West.
I fucking emailed them as some pissant YouTuber, right? And this was, half a year ago, when I was slightly more pissant than I am now. And I sent them an email because some jackass put a copyright claim on one of my podcast videos. Like the first podcast video I made, actually, I included some footage from a Witcher game, Witcher 2. And I got a copyright claim on it. Like a legit copyright claim on it from some company that I had never heard of. So I did the research to figure out who the company was. Had nothing to do with CD Projekt or The Witcher 2. So I sent them an email. I was like, is this a company you're affiliated with that might handle your advertising shit or something? And they sent me an email back less than a week later that said, we don't know who these people are. They have nothing to do with CD Projekt Red or The Witcher 2. Feel free to fight that shit. And so I fought that shit. And obviously, they were just in it for the free advertising space. And I won because they didn't answer the claim because clearly they had nothing to do with that shit. So
CD Projekt's just
I have a lot of respect for CD Projekt Red for answering my email for essentially no potential benefit for their company. There's nothing
They're one
they
of
could
the
have
few
gotten from it.
companies that seem to like actually care about their games. Like, if somebody else made like an improvement to another game, it would be very rare for developers to go like, "Oh, this makes our game better. Go download it," and start promoting it and putting it on their website. And CD Projekt does like a lot of stuff like that. Like, I think Flash now works with them if he didn't before, and is working on The Witcher 3. They're just a good company. They've got really good like consumer policies. They don't try and screw you over. They're honest. They make good games.
And these things that we're saying, this is at every opportunity that you can find them interacting with the community. Every
Anytime
single one. You can't find...
Anytime that they can do something good, they do it. And it's like, I love you guys so much.
You can't find an example of them being dicks. You just can't. Google that shit. Try and find one. I challenge you. YouTube comments if you found one. Go ahead. Bring it on. You got nothing. Internet. But the actual mod itself has got some information on it. They've added a parry system because it feels a little weird that you are this master swordsman and you're fucking rolling around on the ground to try and avoid every fucking hit.
They have a parry system in the original, but it's just like kind of shit. Because the parry system, like you hold up your sword, right? And then you've got a vigor bar. I think it's called vigor. It's either called vigor. It's not vitality. Vitality is your health. But it's got like these yellow dots in it. And you use it to cast spells. So you've cast your spells before the thing started. And then you need it to parry, otherwise it doesn't block fully the attack because you're out of energy and you can't parry anymore.
They've done some variation on the signs system, but yeah, instead of dodging or rolling around on the damn ground, you have a new parry system that responds to all of the different attacks in a very flashy Witcher 2-esque manner.
He added new animations, holy shit.
Yeah, it's
apparently he reacts faster.
Yep. That's a thing as well. But it's a very far-reaching mod. And I was impressed. I downloaded it. I checked it out. It's now the new fucking canon of the game. So, congrats to them on figuring it out.
Have you played it?
Yeah, I mean, I've played quite a bit of Witcher 2.
Did it improve? Have you played the mod?
Yeah, it feels better. It doesn't solve my problems with The Witcher 2, but I have been encouraged enough to keep playing some more of it.
Cool. I need to check it out. I don't have The Witcher 2 through Steam. I have it through
this big old box here that you got.
Ye old-fashioned way.
Ye old-fashioned.
So
buying the actual disc.
It comes with so much cool shit. It comes with like
era were you raised in? Where you
it comes with like that, and then it has that comes out of it, and then you open it and it has all that, and it has a map. It's amazing. It's like when you does Viking back in the day and they used to give you things to make it worthwhile buying the game. CD Projekt still does that.
Who would do that? That's nonsense.
The quest handbook. Just for buying the game.
The quest handbook.
They give you like a CD of the music of the game when you buy the game.
You know
why?
I get a quest
just because they can, and they do, and it's like yeah, and I go around listening to the Witcher music on my iPod.
The Gianni's Pizza, the pizza place here, they gave me a quest handbook, and
dude, just for going in.
The IKEA furniture.
I think it's the project and your pizza company.
The IKEA furniture.
If you look at this,
they gave me a quest handbook.
Like, put your thing back up. Your leaflet.
Okay.
I don't think we can deny that these is like clearly designed by the same man.
Obviously.
I think what we've been covered here is like a conspiracy that Geralt is actually not a Witcher, but he's actually just like a pizza man,
a pizza delivery guy.
Yeah.
He goes through.
He just
uses magic and shit to get
as he
through
rides around on
traffic.
his horse. He's just imagining, like, imagine if I lived in a fantasy world, and he's just like going along. He's like, he like rings on the guy's doorbell, and it's like, I'm a Witcher, and then they're like, what? It's like, take your pizza.
Speaking of pizza delivery, I think that Don Matrick has a new job.
CEO.
best transition ever.
Was actually
No,
really good.
Don Matrick, he has quit as the CEO of Xbox gaming section of Microsoft, and now he is the CEO of Zynga. Yep, he bought Zynga.
It's company to another.
Why?
There really no comment on Don Matrick buying Zynga. So Zynga had some financial troubles, right? Zynga bought out a billion things, but they didn't have any fucking money.
No, it's not good.
So, like, how they decided that they were just going to buy out all this shit? I guess they just figured that the money would come in once they owned new things. Unfortunately, that's not how it works.
I used to hate Zynga,
I still
but
hate
now it's
Zynga.
just to the point where I don't even care about their existence. Like, I don't even acknowledge that Zynga exists anymore. Because they won't exist for a long time. Like, they're not. It's not going to last long, Zynga.
The thing
So what
is,
you talk
Zynga
about,
buys
They're going to go
talented
down the shit,
developers,
aren't they?
and then those developers go out of a job.
Zynga
They
sucks.
remove jobs from the industry.
I hate Zynga.
You still have a reason to hate Zynga. That's what I'm saying. Just because they don't make shit that's designed for you doesn't mean that they don't damage the experiences that you
No,
have.
it's not that they don't make. I don't hate things for making things that don't appeal to me. Like, I don't hate the Xbox One even though it doesn't appeal to me. It's just like Zynga. I hate them as a business. Like, they're just disgusting.
They
like,
do shitty things.
They're,
to
they're
human
basically
beings.
the opposite company of CD Projekt Red. Every time I hear news about Zynga, I'm like, why?
Why is this happening in my world?
Yeah.
Why do you exist in my world? Yeah,
Why? Why is Zynga so shit? Why are they not bankrupt yet?
but what about
Why
Don
is Don
Matrick?
Matrick
I mean,
there?
Don
What is he
Matrick
doing?
quit. Let's talk about why did Don Matrick quit his job from Microsoft? Opinions. Let's start with Naughty because he hasn't said anything in a bit. What's your opinion on Don Matrick?
Don't know much about him, but the fact that Microsoft, as in a whole, to leave that kind of company to obviously Nicholas has some strong opinions about Zynga. The fact that you would choose, maybe he would in himself would want to go his own path from maybe he wants to start up his own thing, which is maybe he has some good ideas that we don't know, and maybe Nicholas will have a big heart on for Zynga after then works with Zynga. So you never know what.
Maybe the reason he took on a company that's so hated is because
Yeah, might
the
be-
only direction it can go is up,
Yeah,
and he
That makes sense.
just wants to change things and do the
Yeah.
most good for the
Yeah.
gaming industry that he can.
hmm
That's
What
a
did-
thought that I haven't heard expressed yet, and that's interesting because, like, if I were in a position like Don Matrick is in, he's been at a company like Microsoft. So many people love Microsoft and so many people hate Microsoft because,
Yeah.
like, Microsoft offers really useful products, but it does it in really sort of shitty ways financially.
Yeah.
So, like, maybe he's just fucking. Maybe that's the reason he wants out of Microsoft. It's because, like, all this money that they just toss around, I don't like the way you do shit. So I'm getting out of this and going into a place that has the financial wherewithal to be able to pull some things off for the
Yeah.
better of everyone. You know, nobody says that, and I sort of wonder why. Because Don Matrick is just another guy, and he's only brought up in he's only a person with the experiences that he's had. So there's only so many places that he can go. And if
But
you think
the
of
thing-
him as a reasonable human being, what do you think he's going to
Isn't
do?
Zynga
Right?
going bankrupt though?
The thing is,
Isn't it being
Zynga.
Oh.
Go ahead. You said
I just
bankrupt,
asked,
and then
like, has Zynga not been going bankrupt for like the last 2 years now?
Well, they haven't gone bankrupt yet, but they've run into some issues where they don't have as much money incoming as they have outgoing. But
Hmm.
there's time for them to turn that shit around, and with somebody like Don Matrick at the helm,
Because I'm not really familiar with him that much. Like, I've seen him at press conferences, but I don't know what he's doing with Zynga or what his plans are or what his logic is because I'm not
Nobody does.
him. I'm not really angry about that at all. I don't really. Okay, a guy from Microsoft went to Zynga. It's like, but I just don't understand why you'd move to a company which is not doing well.
But it's already out there. People know about it. Like, how hard is it to, if he went on his own path and started up something new, how long it would take him to reform something, right? Like, he could take this, and as like Nathan said, it can only go up, right, from here, right? So maybe he has some crazy plan that's just gonna blow us all away.
Maybe.
So
He could do something crazy. I hope so.
yeah.
When we come back from break, we will have host topics. And we
Okay.
will talk about what we will play over the next month. Because this
Perfect.
month, we must have a Game Enlightenment month game to play and discuss. So, see you back in a couple minutes.
Okay.